Welcome to another episode of Connect First. I'm Command Sergeant Major Shawn Carns, the 1st Corps Command Sergeant Major. And today I have three great guests here from the 1st Corps Best Squad winners, and I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves to the audience.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. My name is Staff Sgt. Raymond Voytek, and I'm coming from SECO 2-3 Infantry in 1st Brigade here on JBLM.
Oh,
Specialist Tadre Robe, also coming from 2-3 SECO.
Specialist Jones, also coming from 2-3 SECO.
awesome. Thank you very much for all three of you being on this episode of Connect First. And today, I want to kind of start out with team building. And there's this great doctrine, ATP 6-22.6 team building, right? And in there, there's three phases that the manual talks about. And it's called the formation phase, the enrichment phase, and the sustainment phase. But this fabulous gentleman, Tuckman, came up with his own critical thinking and called it the forming stage, the storming, and the norming phase. So basically, hey, we all come together as a team. Everyone PCS is in, right? You get new squad members. We're all diverse. We all have different backgrounds. We all act differently because we're all different people, right? So we form the team, the squad, and then from there, then we do some storming where we have some conflict because everyone's different. So, Jones might say something to Robe and, it upset Robe. And how do you deal with that? And that's the storming phase. And then once you understand each other and get through that storming phase, then it goes into the norming phase, and that's where you're all at. And that's why you won the 1st Corps Best Squad competition, is because you've gotten through the forming, the storming, and now you're at the norming, and you're working together as a squad. You confide in each other. If a conflict does come up, you know how to deal with it because you know each other. You've developed relationships with each other personally and professionally. So over to you, Sergeant Voytek, and then, Robe and Jones, please comment if you want to, so how did you all kind of go through them phases to get to the norming phase to where you competed at the 1st Corps Best Squad competition?
Yeah, it was a long road, Sergeant Major. Definitely, we came together. We all kind of had the same level of physical fitness, mental toughness, and endurance. And down the line is when a little bit of conflict started to come in with being around each other for so long. And, we know each other better than anyone at this point. And I would say that storming phase hit kind of hard. And then as we started to win at division and then up to corps, it really started to grow us into that norming phase where we were just one cohesive unit and we just were able to work together without even thinking about it.
Oh, man. Jones, Robe, you have any comment? Go ahead, please.
Also, one of the things that I think that really helped us, that got us away from the other squads, that made us better, is that we were a actual squad, like a line squad, in an actual platoon. We are I don't know. This is an actual squad in the military. We're not just a squad that got put together to compete in competition. This is someone that we would deploy with. So.
Right. So for the audience, what Jones kind of talked about is that they are an organic squad. We didn't piecemeal them to go through the competition. They were an actual squad together. They went through them phases of ATP 6-22.6 team building, and they formed the squad and went through the best squad competition. Thank you very much. That's a great point right there, right? So as you all went through them 5 phases, right, or 3 phases, sorry about that, and how did you all grow from that? So explain some of the conflict that you might have dealt with, how you dealt with it, and how each and every one of you grown to form the team or the squad.
Yeah, I would say, Sergeant Major, that the conflict came from different strengths that each individual had. So, for example, Jones may have been better at the strength events than one of our guys, McCoy, but then McCoy was a lot better at the endurance events and the cardio events, and he was just all around a lot better of a runner than all of us. And so, having someone that's fallen out from that, not able to keep up, it kind of gets in their head, and then they feel like they're lacking on the team, and then it just pushed, them to push themselves harder to get better at that individual task so they can be all around a better, a better piece of the team. and not just someone who's, you know, dragging behind. So
Sure.
it was conflict, but it all persevered into like a really great unit cohesion that we had.
Right. Robe?
Yeah. There was plenty of times where I felt like I wasn't enough in a sense, but I would look around my left and my right. Raymond Voytek was there with me, always encouraging me. McCoy also encouraged me. Jones encouraged me a bunch. Monk as well. They all played a part in me wanting to be better for them and for myself in the end.
Oh, man. Jones?
I was the big boy of the group, of course, you know. So I was always last in the runs, and I've never been that good of a runner, but I've always been, you know, like in the front, like even like in regular army. So I'm not used to getting last all the time, and that really pushed me being with these guys. Like they always pushed me to run more and more and more, and I got to the point where I can run a 13-minute 2-mile, which is something I've never been able to do before.
That's awesome. I mean, I've been there, right? I'm great at running, but I didn't understand the same thing as you're all talking about. Is hey, when them people falling out, I just kept going, right? When I was younger, because I didn't understand that team and that squad concept. I understood I was in a team. I understood I was in a squad, but I was right? Instead of being me, us, together as a team, right? I didn't quite understand that and the integration of that goes on. So it took me a little bit to understand that, right? And I think it takes everyone time to understand that. But coming together and being able to help each other out and encourage people, especially to overcome your weaknesses, right? That's what it's all about. So, you know, I'm great at running, but I suck at the push-ups, right? And so, you know, that's where I started understanding, give my ego to be humble and understand, hey, there's someone in my team and my squad that is good at push-ups. Hey, how are you good at push-ups? What do you do? That is what cracked the code on me when I asked for help. Then I got rid of that ego and I went to the humble and understood all that, right? So, Robe, what's one of your weaknesses?
I'd say rucking for sure.
Rucking?
But it was a lot deeper than just rucking. It was a mental thing. I would doubt myself even before it started. And that kind of really drug me behind the rest of the guys. So I would, in turn, slow everyone down.
Sure.
But he always pushed through to the end. We always were all with him, motivated him the entire time, motivating each other during those rucks. Like the rucks got bad because we're running the whole time during these competitions. So like this, like it's a fast pace, and he says that he was, you know, pulling us back, but he wasn't pulling us back much. We were all motivating each other, motivating him, seeing him in that much pain. Like it's weird. It does weird thing to your mind. Like it takes the pain away from you. Like, okay, I got to be strong for this dude. He sees you doing that. He's gonna do the same thing. You know, just gonna keep rolling with each other.
Oh man, and through that encouragement, you get better, and you want to get better for your team, your squad, right?
Yeah.
So Jones, what's one of your weaknesses, and how did you overcome it?
Running. my big weakness was definitely running, and overcoming it was just running with these guys that literally, again, can just run circles around me. We would run hill sprints. We would just run 6 miles, 10 miles. We do 6 and 6s, which is a 6-mile ruck with a 6-mile run. Just constantly doing it with these guys that were better than me, and just pushed me and pushed me and pushed me until I could get close to their level.
Sure, and I'll go here to Shawn Voytek, but you know, as soldiers, you know, I think understanding, getting over your ego, being humble is a little bit easier. I've experienced also this is when you're a leader though, getting to be humble, right? As a soldier, you're humble, but when you're a leader, you're like, I know everything, right? And we don't know everything. And so what's your weakness? And then how did you overcome that as the leader to be humble and say, hey, I need some help too?
Yeah, like I got humbled on a couple of the competitions on events that I should have known and had some sort of like brain shut down and, you know, forgot the task at hand and failed it. And, you know, it's a level of embarrassing, but it definitely humbled me into not taking any of the training for granted, where I just had to, no matter how simple the task may be that I think I knew and I've done 100 times, I still have to get the reps in. I still have to try and continue to learn it. And so I would say my weakness overall was at first learning how to work with each of them individually. And luckily, on a side note, my job was very easy when it came to the level of buy-in that we had, where everyone did, like Jones was saying, like everyone did want to get better. Everyone was pushing themselves to get better. So that made my job really easy. And then going back to my weakness, I would say is just, you know, humbling myself, and then also certain strengths and weaknesses on individual soldiers and being able to work with them individually as not just like an entire squad, and find out how we can get to that level of a cohesive machine as one.
Yeah, sure. Again, as a leader, it's a little different. You know, because you know somebody else has a strength, and that could be a specialist, right? That could be a sergeant, and not necessarily someone outranks you, right? Type of deal. And being able to go to hey, you're great at push-ups, all right? Or you're great at rucksack, and whatever it is. Hey, help me. I need some help. And that's how I found it. Being genuine, being open, being transparent, being inclusive. I don't know everything. I need your help to help me to get to know everything, and I'm going to help you get to know everything. It took me time to understand that too, right? It wasn't just like all of a sudden I pinned on E5 and you're this magic leader. I mean, it takes time to develop that. So what would each one of you, what would you recommend to other soldiers, leaders, and squads that want to compete in the next year's First Corps Best Squad competition?
I would recommend just do it. Put yourself in that uncomfortable situation and a little level of uncertainty, and just find out what your weaknesses actually are. It's a little different when you have, you know, the spotlight on you and you have graders at every station and every event. You truly have to, identify what you're weak at and what you're strong at. So just doing it is definitely the biggest recommendation I would say. Sergeant Major.
Robe?
In addition to just doing it, I'd say if you made it that far, you're there for a reason. Like, someone saw that you were physically fit. You may not have seen it, but they've seen that you can do anything that you put your mind to. Just don't doubt yourself. Just go through with it.
Be able to like work with a team, because it isn't a best warrior competition. It's a squad competition. So you need to be able to work with the team. It is not they're not one-person events, it's team events.
And I agree with that 100%. It's team events, and I appreciate you all sharing that. So from your experience of going through the First Corps Best Squad competition, from that experience, how, and from each one of you, how has that helped you professionally, and also how has that helped you personally?
Professionally, it just gave me a lot more experience. Gave me a lot more leadership experience. It gave me a lot more experience hands-on with weapons, with different medical tasks, with just all the small things that are perishable and that you need to continuously rep at. And then it overall grew my strength when it came to physical fitness, my cardio, my endurance. Like, I just constantly had to push for these guys. And yeah, overall, bring it back to my unit, like a lot more experience, a lot more confidence in my position and my ability. And that's what I gained the most from Sergeant Major.
Cool. Robe?
I'd say this mental freeness, because after talking extensively with the team about what I could do better to improve myself, it was all about me mentally, me being mentally held back. So just breaking free mentally. And when I got back to my unit, I realized that a lot of the things that I do on the daily aren't as hard as I think they are. So.
Jones?
I think I'm in the same boat as Sergeant Voytek. I gained a lot of confidence from doing these competitions, And it also helped me with like stress management, like being really stressed out and still being able to complete the task at hand.
And you know, Robe, you said a good point there was the mind, right? Because the mind will play tricks on you every single day. You know, probably as you're out there running, you're out there rucksacking, right? And you're going and you're going and you're going, and your mind's saying you got to quit, you got to slow down, you got to slow down, right? And you know, so how do you change that mindset? So from you all, because there's some tough times when you're out there, okay? So individually and then together as a squad, how did you all come over to get rid of them mind tricks as your mind telling you, hey, you got to slow down, you got to slow down your body, when you know you can push it forward? What are some of the things that you all did to overcome those mind tricks?
For me personally, Sergeant Major, to overcome any sort of mental handicap I had when it came to stress or fatigue, I just had to continuously put myself like behind and put these guys first. And in my head, I just couldn't not be out front or trying to be out front for every possible event, at least as long as I'm like helping the team in that position. But every time I had doubts, I would always just think that I can't be falling back. I can't fall back behind these guys. Like, I need to be pushing and setting a good example and trying my very best to encourage them.
Oh man, Robe?
It was very simple sayings. You would ask yourself, if it's like a physical thing that you're doing, is it pain or is it an injury? If it's just pain, you know pain's gonna go away. It might get worse, but it's just a part of the job. It's a part of what you have to do. And through that, you learn new thresholds. You learn how to overcome what you're thinking at the moment. Like, oh, like this sucks, but it is what it is for the time being. And there, just your mind kind of understands that this is what you have to do in order to be better. And yeah.
Jones?
Just looking at my my boys beside me, cause like I'm sucking, they're sucking. It's like I'm not in this alone, you know. So just seeing them go through the same thing I'm going through, like I gotta be strong for them. They're gonna be strong for me. We're just gonna keep rolling with each other.
Oh man. You know, and the one thing I see from just our discussion here, and obviously I know you all quite well, you know, and I'll say it all the time, is, you know, I don't have your back. Hey, I'm going to walk right beside you and hold your hand, right? Because that's what leaders do. That's what soldiers do. That's what a squad does. And I can tell each and every one you do that, right? So if someone's falling back, someone don't know a task, hey, you're there to grab their hand and help them through that. I mean, that's powerful. That's powerful when you have something like that, right? Because that's going to be needed in the next conflict. We're going to need those bonds. We're going to need those relationships. We're going to need them teams, them squads are at that norming phase. Not the forming, not the storming, but the norming phase. Because it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. And there's going to be times during the time that someone's going to be sucking and you're going to have to grab their hand and help them out through something. Right, and that's what a team does. That's what leaders do. That's what a squad does. So again, hey, thank you very much for you all being on Connect First. This was a great episode, and you know, again, I look forward to. Hopefully, you're all still here for next First Corps Best Squad competition, and see you again. And I appreciate your recommendation to other leaders, soldiers, and squads to help them get prepared for the First Corps Best Squad competition next May. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, audience, for your attendance on this episode of Connect First.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Connect First podcast, where we discuss leadership at its core. You can find Connect First on all your major podcast streaming platforms. Follow First Corps on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for information on upcoming episodes, as well as all things First Corps. Rate, review, and subscribe to us on YouTube and click that notification bell so you'll know exactly when we drop a new episode. Until next time.